So today I'm going to report my topic culture. So the objectives for this report is the meaning, origin, elements, characteristics, and functions of culture, cultural concepts and variation, and Filipino culture and values. So what is culture? Culture is the characteristic and knowledge of a particular group of people, encompassing language, religion, cuisine, social habits, music, and art. The word culture derives from the French term, which in turn derives from the Latin word colere, which means to tend to the earth and grow, or cultivate and nurture. It shares etymology with a number of words related to actively fostering growth. The origin of culture. No one can really determine where the culture began, from two primary reasons. First is very little material evidence survived from 1,000 years ago, and second is much of culture is non-material and so cannot be preserved for future consideration. The elements of culture. So culture was defined earlier as the symbolic language, beliefs, values, and artifacts that are part of any society. The first type is the non-material culture, which includes the values, beliefs, symbols, and language that define a society. Second type is the material culture, includes all society physical objects such as tool and technology, clothing, eating utensils, and means of transportation. These elements of culture are discussed next. So first is the symbol. Every culture is filled with symbols or things that stand for something else and that often evoke various reactions and emotions. So some symbols are actually types of nonverbal communication, and while other symbols are in fact material objects. Language. So it is perhaps our most important set of symbols, which is the language. So in English, the word chair meaning something we sit on, and in Spanish, the word silla means the same thing. As long as we agree how to interpret these words, a shared language and thus society are possible. By the same token, differences in languages can make it quite difficult to communicate. Values. Values are important element of culture and involves judgment of what is good or bad, and desirable or undesirable. A culture values shapes its norm. Beliefs. Beliefs are the tenets or convictions that people hold to be true. Individuals in a society have a specific beliefs, but they are also shared collective value. Characteristic of culture. So from various definitions, we can deduce the following characteristics. So first is learned behavior. Not all behavior is learned, but most of it is learned. Combining one's hair, standing in line, telling jokes, criticizing the president, and going to the movie all constitutes behavior which had to be learned. So next is culture is abstract. Culture exists the minds of or habits of the members of the society. Culture is the shared ways of doing and thinking. There are degrees of visibility of cultural behavior ranging from the regularized activities or persons to their internal reasons for so doing. The third one is culture defines myth, legend, and supernatural. Myths and legends are important part of every culture. They may inspire, reinforce effort and sacrifice and bringing comfort in bereavement. Is the functions of culture. So function of cultures defines situation, Each, each culture has many subtle cues which define each situation. It reveals whether one should prepare to fight, run, laugh, or make love. Culture defines attitudes, values, and goals. So each person learns in his culture what is good, true, and beautiful. Attitudes, values, and goals are defined by the culture. Culture provides behavior patterns. The individual need not go through painful trial and error, learning to know what foods can be eaten or how to live among people without fear. The next topic is the cultural concepts and variations. The first cultural concept is the ethnocentrism. It is a feeling that one's own particular life is superior and and that all culture and are inferior and defective. The next is the cultural relativism. It is the opposite of ethnocentrism. This concept refers to the notion that each culture should be evaluated according to its merits and standards rather than from the standpoint or basis of the different culture. Next is the xenocentrism, the belief that is what is foreign is best termed in one's lifestyle, products, or ideas. Temporocentrism is the belief that one's own time is more important than the past or future. Subculture, which is a group or category with a society that shares in the general culture by maintains distinctive ways of thinking, acting, and feeling. This kind of group is usually found in a big and complex society. Counterculture is a subculture that has values and norms that sharply contradict those of the larger society. Next one is the culture universal, refers to the common cultural elements that are found within all known societies. And next is the culture lag is the inability of a given society to adapt immediately to another culture as a result of a disparity in the rate of change between the material and non-material elements of culture. Filipino cultural values. So there are 6 Filipino cultural values, which is the utang na loob or debt or gratitude, dahiya, pakikisama, bahala na, authoritarianism, at amor proprio. So, utang na loob is debt of gratitude, is an obligation to repay a person from whom one has received a favor. When abused, utang na loob becomes burden as it becomes as it makes a person beholden to the debtor and a hindrance to a freedom of decision. Yeah, there are various connotations of hiya in relation to utang na loob when an individual cannot reciprocate the favor done to him or the repayment seems not acceptable to the one who gave the favor. Next is the pakikisama. This is closely related to utang na loob. It is the value of belongingness and loyalty to the small in group with sensitivity to the feelings of others in the principle of good and take. The next one is bahala na, a common expression among Filipinos. It is rest the spirits who will take care everything if they have really meant for a person. Authoritarianism, it is the dependence of Filipino in a paternalistic rather than in a stern way upon the elders of the family. Next is the amor proprio or self-esteem. It is the individual highly emotional reaction to protect his honor and dignity when there are threatened or questions and retaliate. So other Filipino cultural values is the bayanihan, the religious, hospitality, and respect for elders. So that ends my report. Good day.